Alright guys, today I'm going to show you guys how to actually kind of DIY customize your deck boxes, because I don't know about you, for all my deck boxes I kind of just bought all the same thing, which is these are the ultimate guards. And then since I have 3 different decks, I kind of have to shuffle through them, look through them to see like which deck is like, oh okay, this one's my Camelot Saber deck, right? So I couldn't identify them, right? But then, so I had an idea, and I had a lot of these rubber anime keychains around. And what I ended up doing was customizing the deck boxes in a way where I kind of stuck the rubber keychains onto them. And there are 2 ways to do it, right? So one way would have been like, oh, if I just super glued it onto it. But then the problem of why you don't want to use super glue with a lot of type of surfaces, especially if it's something like close to more of like a cloth type surface rather than something plastic, even plastic sometimes, is that super glue ruins a lot of materials, whether it's like melting it or just deforming it. So super glue is very corrosive. So if unless you test it, it might actually ruin the surface. So you don't want to do that, right? Another idea what I had was 3M mounting tape, which is the one that's sticky on 2 sides, and then it's kind of like those like strap-on sounds weird. Those like shoelaceless shoes where it's like the Velcro where it sticks on and off. But then that doesn't seem very permanent. It seems like it'd be something that falls off a lot as well too. So the solution I had was pretty much these. So these are pretty much like I got these mounting squares where it's also Scotch 3M as well too. And these mounting squares pretty much they come in like, these are pretty inexpensive. I don't think you could buy them like anywhere, like at a store or like Amazon. And they come in these like tiny little squares that you could cut in the shape of like the characters. So what I did was I mounted it onto the back of it. And then once you kind of stick it on, it's sticky on both sides. It doesn't really like come off the surface that much to a sense where like you would notice it. It kind of just like sticks onto it. And I did it for both of my Gilgamesh decks as well too, my Fate Grand Order as well as my Fate Zero deck. And I'll show you guys actually how to do it, since I'm going to do this for my Saber deck for my Camelot as well too. So what I would recommend honestly is there's a lot of different types of, you could mount pretty much whatever you want to, like oh, if you want to mount it on the top like some kind of card, you could do that, like an animated card. For me, I've chose to mount it onto the sides, because if I mount it onto the sides, I could just like stack my deck boxes on top of each other when I have them on my table, as well as I could have it like standing vertically as well too, which I just kind of like stack them on top of each other, and I think it looks pretty nice. And I do it that way. So if you have like these anime keychains, you could probably just remove the part where it has the string. And then let me just cut here, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. And also, the reason why you don't want to put them on top of the box where it has the most room, right? I mean, I guess you could if you don't have a lot of deck boxes. But the reason why I didn't like it is just because you tend to stack your box. I stack my deck boxes on top of each other. So it kind of keeps me from being able to do it. But I guess technically, if you wanted to, you could pretty much just mount it on the top there and it would be fine as well. But I came into this idea because I found it very hard to customize deck boxes in general, unless you buy those like very flimsy anime deck boxes, which are all plastic. And typically I like the Ultimate Guard boxes more because they just feel sturdy and feels like they protect my decks. So pretty much what you're gonna do is you're gonna take these like when you first open them, it's gonna be like a bunch of these squares, and you could just rip off each of the square, right? So what you're going to do is there's 2 sticky sides to each square, and you're going to rip off one side and just stick them one by one to cover as much of the surface as you can. For the Gilgamesh, what I had to do was I had to cut like tiny pieces, like smaller slices, just for like the places like the leg, so it sticks on better. I didn't want them like kind of flimsy, like flying off. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stick, it seems like it has a bigger surface on the Saber, so I think I should be able to put a lot of these big squares onto it. And then for this one, I think I might actually end up putting it on top just because of the surface. It's just big enough. And then since I could just put it on top of the other deck boxes, and it should be fine. All right, so let me just go ahead and I'll cut here and I'll stick all of them onto it, and I'll show you like what it'll look like before you actually stick it onto the deck box. All right, so I finally finished, and I ended up using a lot more than I think I probably needed to, but I'm just a little bit OCD about it. So overall, as long as you pretty much have a majority of the surface, and once you stick it on, it probably shouldn't come off. You do have to press down on it a lot, and just be aware when it comes to the very, very small pieces, it might also be very, very hard to peel off some of the sticker on top in order to get to the adhesive. So just be a little bit aware about that and just be a little bit patient. So I'm going to peel all this off and we're going to stick it on and I'll show you how it looks. All right, so I finally got all the adhesive off. While I was doing it, I actually fucked up and I lost a piece of it from that was supposed to stick onto the tiny leg. I think it should be fine even if I don't fix it. I mean, the good thing about doing it this way is that if you stick it on and for whatever reason you want to change it out, or if it just falls off, you can always just stick it back. Since it's not super glue, and you could just like rub off the adhesive. Let's just try to get this straight. Yeah, as good as it gets. And that's it. Pretty much that's it. You press it on, since these are like kind of like really, really, really squishy, like little pieces. They kind of just like adhere to it, and then like they flatten, but they still retain the sticky. It sounds so weird to say. They still retain the stickiness to it. So it seems like it was fine to not have that tiny leg stuck on. But you see how like even though I did like the parts of the small legs, of course I could have been a little bit more clean. It kind of sticks out a little bit. For me, it's fine though. But if you want to do it a little bit more clean, you could probably avoid tiny parts. But for me, I like a little bit more coverage, so that way, like, I know that it's stuck on to a good extent. I can probably attack that a little bit. And that's it. So if you want to kind of, like, ghetto customize your deck boxes and just want to DIY it while still having something sturdy like an Ultimate Guard without buying those, like, anime deck boxes, which are either plastic or cardboard, I think this is honestly, like, the best way you could go, because there's so many of these, like, rubber type of anime keychain things that you could get for like less than a couple dollars most of the time, and you could just use it for pretty much any anime series or whatever you want, or whatever you want to stick onto it, right? The one thing you want to avoid is buying acrylic keychains, because acrylic is a lot heavier, as well as the adhesive might not work the same on something that's acrylic as opposed to something that's rubber, where it's very, very easy for these things to stick onto. And it seems to adhere pretty well. I had these like while carrying it to my locals or whatnot, and they haven't fell off. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this helps, and I hope this helps you in order to customize your deck boxes. Oh, and I also wanted to say thank you guys for watching, as well as thank you everyone that's been subscribing to the channel. For whatever reason, I guess you guys enjoy watching all these like random things. But yeah, we're almost close to 300, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great day.